So, hello and welcome, guys, and welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast. Another week in the books when it comes to the entire situation. We are still alive, still carrying on. Hopefully, we're still alive, or we are. I don't know, maybe we are in the Matrix after all. No, I don't think that this is the case. Anyway, I digress as always. So it's the beginning of the Improvement Season podcast, and it's the beginning kind of the Improvement Season once again, without having gone through the contest prep. So Steve, how are you doing?
I'm quite excited. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to be. It feels a bit weird, actually, thinking like I'm massing and I've written out a whole mesocycle from home, and actually it's, from what I gather from at least in the UK, it's probably quite likely I'm going to be doing that entirety from home. So it kind of feels weird. I said it in my latest vlog that I just put up. I was like, these things feel uncomfortable at first, and I think massing will feel uncomfortable at first for me, but as I get deeper into it, it'll feel more and more comfortable. But I think it felt a bit weird going from like just doing like big barbell lifts and they just feel hard from the first rep to then higher like repetition work and being like, oh, that didn't feel so hard, and now I'm like, okay, now I need to refigure out where's 3 to 4 RER, and also using new movements. Like I've tried, you may have seen on my story, I don't know what made me do it. I was just like, I bought a squat wedge, like a yoga wedge for like £7, not one of these like prime wedges that are like 50 pounds or something crazy.
Oh,
they're very expensive.
It was that cheap?
Yeah, it was like £7, super cheap.
Nice. Yeah.
So I was just like, I bought it because I was going to do the pendulum style squat on the TRX, but I never, since I've got the rest of this stuff, I was like, there's just no point in me really doing that. So I tried using it with my Vibrams to do squats, like a high bar, quad emphasis. And I don't know how, it's only the first time I did it, but it felt very nice. It felt quite natural. And I was able to push through the front of my foot, I felt like more. And I felt like potentially that it was just a bit more isolated towards the quads using that technique. I'm just having to play with it. It's nothing that I'm like, everyone should now squat with Vibrams and a kind of yoga wedge, but it was fun to do. And then I just did what they called belt squats on that lat pull down, and they actually went okay. They actually worked quite well. So yeah, it's time for experimentation at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen the reaction over on your vlog from Charlotte, that she was actually quite happy to have a lat pull down machine now sitting in the bedroom, and that the expression and the reaction of her was like, I thought that she's actually quite happy and satisfied now that she can get to work there as well, right?
Yeah. Did you see did you watch the whole vlog? Did you watch the edit I put towards the end? I was just like, this is too good. Like the reason, because she says like, that's not funny. And the reason I was laughing was because I knew I had to set up the camera to record her first reaction. I was just like, this is too good a reaction. Yeah. But she's slowly getting more and more comfortable with it being.
I mean, she's together with you since a long period of time, has gone through 2.5 contest preps, so to speak, and that she hasn't yet gone over to lifting herself. Maybe now is the time that you're setting up a home gym, right? Now could be the moment. If it's not now, then it's probably not going to happen ever.
Yeah, I'll say she hasn't even touched it, I don't think. So.
She's probably more so using it to just hang up clothing to dry or so.
True. She would probably do that just to wind me up. Be like, this is what you're going to do with my spare bedroom. This is what I'm going to do with your gym equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but what I want to say is, with you bringing up that it's a little bit weird going into now an improvement season, and in a gaining phase. But I think that there's a silver lining here, that you actually cleaned up everything from the last off season and now have a clean slate to go into the next gaining phase. It wasn't just like a short mini cut or so, but you actually dieted down to a definitely lean stage, and thus you actually bought yourself like a proper off season once again. So many people are just like thinking, okay, it was a waste of time, or I couldn't make proper use of what I was doing before, now I have to change pace. But also on the contrary, also same here for me, right?
Yeah.
Ever since I started the contest prep, I've lost like 12, 13 kilograms. I probably wouldn't have done it if I hadn't had the intention to on stepping on stage. And thus, I'm in such a better position now moving into the improvement season because, I think that there's always a positive side to things. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to see it at first, especially in the current situation. But it's also, like you said, it doesn't seem like things are going to reopen here soon. Germany has lifted a lot of their restrictions, but still, gyms, it's not even up for debate at the moment. And I think that they are one of the most risky environments to be in when it comes to that, if you really think about it. So humans were always good at adapting to their environment. And if we are complaining about the current situation, while I'm also super biased and I would love to go back to the gym, also let's remember here what is more important, and us complaining about the gyms not being open is complaining on a very, very high level, right? And thus we just need to make it happen somehow. And if that's the new normal, then what's the alternative for you? This is something that I said to every single one of my athletes. So you could either throw the towel and just like call it quit and say like, okay, this is it. I'm not lifting anymore. Or lifting has become part of your identity. And this is what I always talk about. It is part of my identity. While some people find it a little bit ridiculous, it is who I am at the moment. This can always change in the future though, but at the moment it's an integral part of myself. So there are only two options. Either I throw the towel and don't do it at all anymore, or I just adapt to the current situation and make it happen somehow, because it's still better than nothing at all, because once again, I identify myself with being that individual who lifts weights and who trains. And option number one, for me at least, is not up for debate. Thus, there's only option number two left, and that is making it happen somehow.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I think we've said it before, like how this can be somewhat of a blessing in disguise, and that we get very comfortable with what we're doing. Like going to the gym, you just sit into a machine. It's like, oh yeah, the hack squat works my quads if I just do it and I don't need to know too much. Whereas now it's forcing us to, maybe you could pick up a barbell and now you're actually, normally you wouldn't bother squatting because you just always found it to be more difficult and more hassle than it really was worth it. But now maybe you're rejigging your technique, you're trying different things, and now you're actually finding, oh, I can use a squat now to build my quads, or whatever it might be. Maybe it's, I think for a lot of my clients, I'll say this, and I imagine it's maybe the same for you and probably the same for a lot of listeners, single leg work, like we don't, or single arm work in general, single leg and single arm, I don't tend to program it that often because it's more time consuming more than anything. Yeah. But a lot of the time it has a good stimulus to fatigue ratio. You're using less weight, but you're able to stimulate everything just as much. And I've had some clients where they're like, actually, single leg work has seen my quads grow better, because normally I would always sit in a leg press or something like that. But now they're doing a lunge and they can focus on one like muscle at a time. It's like, oh, I can just connect better. So yeah, I think there's, like you said, people listening to this, it's now part of them lifting. There's no question they're not going to do it.
Yeah. I have so many of my athletes who were pleasantly surprised about the progress that they were able to make here over the past couple of weeks. I think that so many were in this boat of being super stressed out and anxious about the current situation and thinking like, okay, I'm definitely going to regress, or not making any kind of progression. So just like maintaining it, even though that I want to progress. And now you actually came then to the point where you have to adapt and making it happen. If you had a solid program or training regime alongside with other things in check, then possibly you're one of those people who are pleasantly surprised how well you are now progressing. And I have one prime example. All right, so Khamir, shout out to Khamir. He is actually working out in Das Gym. All right, and for him, he of course couldn't go to Das Gym during that period of time. And ever since we worked together, he was actually quite heavy. And when we started working together, he couldn't do a pull-up. And now he's able to do 4 to 5 pull-ups, like straight,
nice.
Strict technique. And this is massive progress. And it's not because he has lost such a significant amount of weight. He has lost weight, but over the totality of the time that we have been working together, it's only on paper 7 kilograms, which is not that much, right? It can definitely contribute to him being able to do now pull-ups. But at the same time, it's just like he has definitely gained some muscle mass, because when you're just taking a look at the overall pictures before and after, this doesn't look like 7 kilograms to me. This looks just like something like 15 or so. And I'm not kidding. And this is something that I will go and post over on Instagram at some point, but we are not finished yet. And he's just a prime example of like, he was anxious about the entire thing at first, and now we just here in the last check-in, he brought it up and said like, wow, I'm actually super happy and satisfied with how things went so far, and I have never dreamt of actually making that tremendous of a progress overall. And this is something that you then cash in on, like especially later down the line. Just imagine when you've already made progress outside of the gym, when you're going back into the gym, you will definitely go back better than before.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's weird because this has become the new normal. I initially was doing like posts on Instagram in terms of like lockdown benefit, like key benefits of lockdown, and everything is like, that's kind of died off because now this is life. Yeah. But like, take training out of it. Sure, that's somewhat compromised. It might not be quite as good as what it could be in the gym, but it can certainly still happen. But you think about everything that goes into creating a tremendous physique and losing fat, gaining muscle. Training is just one element. You also have nutrition, and you have like recovery, sleep, stress management. Those things, hopefully, especially like stress could be a bit different for different people during this period of time, depending on what's going on. But hopefully now, maybe sleep can be more in your control. Obviously, it depends. Some people have kids, and I imagine that makes it a lot more difficult and no more in your control than usual. But maybe some people like listening to this, I imagine a lot of the listeners don't have that impediment. And then the other one, like nutrition, I mean, for us, it does not really change much. But no. For a lot of people now, they're having every meal from home. And I've definitely got clients who, they're kind of a bit younger than me. They do like socializing. They don't quite take it to the level that I take it, which I completely respect. But now they can take it to the level I take it, and they're like, hot damn. Yeah. I can, like, when I really put everything in, pull my eggs into one basket per se, like results just can't just like start flooding. So like, I'm almost like, I don't know, it weirdly, whilst I want gyms to open, I'm just like, for a lot of my clients, like right now, they can really just take advantage of having more time to be able to put into it, whilst the training isn't as maybe quote unquote optimal, but everything else makes up for that fact, and they are getting great results.
Yeah. And if you really want it, then consider something like you, just like buying all of the equipment, even though that you don't have the space for it, all right, and piss off your girlfriend or boyfriend, or do it like me, that I'm looking right now, and I'm not kidding, I'm looking right now to actually find a garage that I could rent.
Yes,
to
like
actually
Jeff Nippard.
He does it as well?
Yeah, he's rented, with, I forgot his name. Patty Lifts is his name on Instagram.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm looking for a garage here just around the corner that I could then rent for like 90 quid per month, and maybe then build my own garage gym there, which is just like a couple of minutes away from our new house. Problem is though, right now, I don't think that garage, so I've already written, then or sent them a message asking like, is there electricity in there and some light? Because if there isn't, then it will get very, very cold and also very dark at the same time. And then I have to find some solution, maybe getting somewhat of a, what's it called on English?
Portable heater thing?
Yeah, like a generator or so that then could produce some electricity. And then I could definitely also have somewhat of a heater there. But that could be a solution, right? Yeah. I mean, I know that it's so bro-ish to talk like this. Like, do you really want it? This saying, oh God, it always makes me cringe when someone says it. Like, do you really want it? Do you? Right? Like that t-shirt slogan. But in that instance, there is some truth to it. Like, do you really want it? And if you're really committed, then someone like JP, for example, he just like buys a hack squat machine and actually puts it in his home, right? So yeah, there's always a way to make it happen. It's just once again, as always, how much are you willing to invest? And I'm not just talking from a monetary perspective, but also just like from an energy perspective. So the time investment and all that kind of stuff. So how much are you willing to invest? And then you get as much out in return.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, the reason, like, I can see why that sort of phrase, just do it. That's kind of, how much do you want it? Like, I really want it. But it doesn't take into consideration for like you want a power rack. You want all the goodies. You have probably the money to be able to invest in that. You just have nowhere to fucking put it. Yeah. Like, I wanted a power rack at the beginning, and I was even surprised how much I've been able to fit into this room, and I was stressing out about it. But there's people who have, like you got a family, like you have no space for it, and there's other people that can't afford it, or the logistics just don't work out for them. So someone might really want it, and they're seeing someone say they don't want it, and they're like, I really want it, but I just can't do it. And then they just get more stressed.
It's kind of a narrow-minded sentence and just like saying, like, there are a lot of things that I would love, but I simply can't do it or can't afford it or whatever, right? And there are probably plenty of people in the world that would love to have something that they simply can't get because, I don't know, their environment, their culture doesn't allow for it, their government doesn't allow for it, right? So it's just like a little bit of a narrow-minded statement. How much do you want it? Yeah, I want it very much, but that doesn't mean that I can accomplish that, can get it, right? I mean,
but I think what you are saying, and I think this is the right way to maybe frame it a bit, is like, be very honest with yourself with what you can do. So like for you, you're still making it work with not much at the moment. I have the space, and I just set up reminders for things once they came in stock that I was like, I'm going to get it because I save money. I don't have like massive outgoings because I live at home, and I mean, I live here and don't do much else. I don't have like massive outgoings on booze or any other weird like hobbies, or not weird hobbies, but I'm not playing the PS4, although I did consider when I've seen all these people playing the PS4, I was just like, Harry. Man, I could just so get
all
into
of the
this.
People. The only one I'm always seeing playing PlayStation is Harry.
So many people have got into it's, at least on social media, it looks like it, like into I don't know. The one word I just keep hearing is gulag. I don't even know what it really means.
No,
someone's going to comment below.
Sounds like a Romanian dish or so, or Hungarian dish, like goulash.
So yeah, I just think so. Some of my clients, especially like UK ones, because there was an article came out, I think like yesterday, and people have been sharing it around in the Mirror saying gyms aren't going to be open till October, which is fucking ages. And I've just been saying to some clients, like, if you do have the space, if you have a little bit of money, like start invest, like, because I think some people are probably waiting. They're just like, oh yeah, gym's going to open. Whereas I decided that I wasn't going to take that approach, and I was going to be proactive. And at the moment, that's paid off. So if people were being a bit reactive, now's the time to be maybe a little bit more proactive and think about, it might not open when I want, and do I want some kit? I probably do. So at least stuff seems to be becoming more available online at the moment. Like, not everything's sold out, and delivery times aren't like a month, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah, I'm a little bit, when it comes to certain things, a little bit frugal, and thus it's spending money. I always think twice or three times about actually making a purchase. So right now I'm still like, I know how beneficial it would be to actually purchase some equipment, but from a economic perspective, I'm just thinking, okay, a lot of people have now purchased some gym equipment.
You're going to wait till it all opens up.
Yeah, so exactly. So probably a lot of people are going to sell their equipment at the same time when gyms are reopening because they don't need it anymore. Because though the demand will be so low at the moment then, but the stock will be so high, probably it will push down the prices, because when I have a look around Craigslist and eBay at the moment, the prices are actually very, very high. And I'm just like, oh, do I really want to purchase it now? Right now, I'm just in a little bit of a situation of like, yes, I want it, but I kind of know that I could wait to actually then save a lot of money later down the line. But at the same time, it's just like, once again, a back and forth between myself and that I would be willing to invest more because I would love to have it right now. So it's always that, okay, can I wait? Am I willing to wait longer for a lower price, or am I willing to pay a little bit of additional money to have it now? So this is where I'm at the moment. So yeah.
Hey, Pascal here. I just wanted to take the moment to talk about our membership site. Inside, you'll find a thriving forum, an extensive exercise library, courses, presentations, and research reviews. All I need you to do is hit the link.
I was willing. I was just like, fuck it, I'm getting it. The good thing is, if you buy it off like websites, like MirrorFit, for example, or like I didn't buy mine off any like Craigslist or anything. I just got it from websites. I don't think they've jacked the prices up as dramatically as like
no, yeah, absolutely. I think they can't do it.
It's a bit sneaky, I guess.
Yeah,
doesn't
don't know.
Feel right.
Maybe just a little bit, maybe like 10% or so, something that people won't notice that much. But yeah, I'm just like looking every single day at Craigslist, eBay, and also a couple of stores that are just like selling gym equipment. And there are just like a couple of equipment things available at the moment, but it would take them a minimum of 75 days to ship it. And I was just like, I can't be bothered to wait for so long. It's just like, I don't know.
And the weird thing is, like, I've got clients in the US who their gyms are opening now and they're training.
Yeah.
I've got Elias in Sweden. His gym's been open the entire time and he's like barely been impacted by things. And like, he's in Europe, we're in Europe, and seemingly it looks like, so many places have been affected differently, doing different things.
Maybe you should just like move to Sweden for the time being.
Just all the bros are going to move to Sweden.
It's like only jacked people in Sweden are walking around it longer than the most jacked country in the world, Sweden.
I was going to say, something on your end that's changed is you have decided, because I know last time we spoke, it was like, Pascal, you've got to decide by the weekend what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you didn't decide. But now you have decided.
I really sat down and really thought about it, though. I really tried to come to a decision by Sunday. Didn't happen, though. I was still like, oh, shit, hey, what am I supposed to be doing, right? And then I drank a little bit of expired milk, just to get a little bit more of creativity in. No, of course, this wasn't the main intention. But I drank expired milk, and I was left with a little bit of a stomach distress and a little bit of feverish symptoms, which wasn't that funny. But I'm good already, once again, but I'm not that hungry, which isn't helpful because I decided to actually now go into a gaining phase.
This is where ice cream enters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you got some there? Brilliant. Oppo is the one.
Oppo, where is it? There.
The Colombian hazelnut.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, yeah. Ice cream enters the die now again, because I'm. This is only me, right? But I couldn't imagine how it must be for someone like. There's this documentary over on YouTube from bodybuilding.com about Jay Cutler. And I think that we've talked about it in the past, where he's eating like 6,000 calories per day, clean, where it's just, how in the world is he able to pull that off? Because I'm eating 2,700 calories at the moment, trying to make it primarily quotation marks clean, and I'm already struggling, which never happened in the past before. But also, I think because my eating habits were just like so fucked up in the past, that right now I'm just like eating when my family is eating. I'm not tending to overeat because of that as well, right? I'm not snacking much. I'm not really into candy. The only sweet thing that I'm having, and that was the case since a long period of time, is like ice cream, right? And that is even now, lovely as it is over the past 1 year, now we have those low calorie ice creams as well. I don't need those. I could actually step it up a notch, but yeah, it's just super hard actually to already with 2,700 calories to get onto those calories with primarily coming from clean foods. Don't want to imagine how it must be for someone like you who then needs to eat like 4,000 calories in an off season or deep in an off season, right? And we said in the past, and I know I'm not complaining, I could easily hit those numbers, but I have to actually implement some palatable foods.
One I'm going to take advantage of, there's this actually, this is just very random, not very random. It's just there's this little bakery outside. Oh, it's actually a
hot
restaurant.
Cross buns. I know
no,
what you want
not
to
hot
say.
cross buns, but they are a good one. But they're a restaurant normally, but they're just opening up their doors as like a bakery and some like bits and pieces of meat. They do an amazing sourdough loaf that we've been buying, and then that with jam on. It's just like, that's kind of quote unquote kind of like I guess it can count as somewhat clean. It depends how you view jam. Probably if I'm going for like just fruit spread, that could be like counted as clean, but I don't view it as complete trash. Just like sourdough bread, kind of like 4 thick slices of that with jam on. I don't know how many carbs and calories that is, but it's a shed load. So yeah, you have to switch it up a bit.
Yeah, I have to also admit though, and this must be said, that I'm still having a little bit of the habits I had from the dieting period, and I don't think that it's necessarily bad to just keep them and get completely rid of those. Because right now, for lunch, for example, I'm still eating something like a steak with a salad and so. And I think that is very, very important to still have in your diet instead of just like things coming from highly processed and super palatable foods. And I see it all the time that people are just like eating, like really just if it fits your macros kind of stuff. Having the most palatable food, having or highly processed foods, and then wondering why they can't stick to their diet and feel hungry all the time, and especially then when they are going into a cutting phase and still making it happen somehow. And thus, I think it's still important to have somewhat good habits in there, and don't get completely rid of those kind of things, right? In my opinion, highly palatable food and highly processed foods should only be kind of a supplement, right? So supplementing for actually hitting your caloric target for the day. It shouldn't be the main source of food for the day, in my opinion. It should just like be, you're getting your majority of calories, your majority of minerals and vitamins from wholesome foods, and then the rest you're filling up with palatable, highly processed food and also supplements in general. So I think that should be treated as a supplement, right? And I don't know what I wanted to say though. I lost my train of thought.
I guess I'll say something that I think helps me massing is having those very wholesome foods and then supplementing them with like sprinkles, or not sprinkles because it's not sprinkles, but you could use sprinkles actually, like just a dusting of sprinkles. But I was more so going like a bit of ketchup goes a long way. Yeah. Some jam on some like whole grain bread, if you want to have whole grain bread, that goes a long way. Just salt on like veggies, that goes a long way. Just eating veggies plain, I don't even know when the last time I did that. Probably, actually, well, I do because I was dieting and that's when I did it. But it's just those sort of like you said, they're just a supplement to make it easier to get that food down. Or like you move from mostly like whole fruits, and then you go to maybe then whole fruits plus some juice, and then maybe whole fruits plus some juice and dried fruit if you're really struggling. But it's like you still have the base there, and you still have the kind of the fruit aspect in there as well. So but I agree, a lot of people, I think this is probably part of, I spoke about it I think when I was having issues with my gut and my satiety was just awful, and I will still say the way I felt at peak mass was probably worse than like deep into prep, just because of like it was like force feeding, but I couldn't, and it was just horrible. And I think part of the reason that may have ended up happening is because I transitioned my diet too much, because I was like, I'm really struggling to eat, so I'll make more of my food palatable, more of it processed. And I think that actually was piling up and making things even worse. Yeah. So I definitely this off season, I'm looking to keep more of that kind of whole food, clean base in, rather than allowing too much of those kind of treaty foods to come in. And it was really only, I felt like I was doing it as a necessity, but I think it actually, yeah, like I said, make things worse.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to give a shout out to someone who posted a comment here and over on our last video, the episode, who massively helped me with actually staying on track and doing the rational decision. And that is actually going into a gaining phase. So I've talked with you, Steve, right, a lot about it. And I came once again also to the realization how much I trust you. You know everything about me, right? And especially over the past 3.5 years, you kind of know everything that I went through, everything that I've done, even things that people don't know outside of this podcast as well. And who would be better than you to tell me actually what to do? There is no one, right? So but I didn't want to give a shout out to you, but someone who actually posted on the last video, because he said Pascal should be gaining because it seems like he's always in a cutting phase. And this is basically what we talked about not that long ago, that I always said, okay, I want to go into the off season and make the off season really work because I was too often in a caloric deficit in the entirety of my lifting career. This is also one thing that over on our member side, Harry made a thread about what are the things that you kind of regret. I don't know what the exact title was of the thread, but a common theme all across nearly everyone who posted, and me myself included, was being or having been in a caloric deficit for too often or the majority of your lifting career. And that is just me. And his comment on the last video of the Improving Season podcast reminded me of the things that I always said myself and the things I also know. And that is, I was too often in a caloric deficit, and I have to just accept, like, okay, be out of the caloric deficit for longer. Because the last time I've done that, and that was last year, where I wasn't in a caloric deficit for a year, I've made the best progress.
Very well said. I think that gets missed too often. I think I've been fortunate that I have been in a surplus like the large majority of my career, but I definitely regret maintaining for too long. Like I just get comfortable and then don't push it. I think a lot of people do that and also cut too much and too often. So yeah, I'm excited for us both to be massing and getting large and filling out t-shirts again and probably getting way too hot.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be horrendous.
Oh God, I wanted to avoid that by any means, to once again gain in the summertime. But here we are, the summer. I'm waiting for you.
I need to, now I've got the gym here, I need some aircon.
Oh yeah.
That's the next step, buy some aircon.
Oh God.
Install it.
Like you need those big fans for movie productions, actually.
That'd be awesome.
Like in a Michael Jackson video, right? Yeah. Yeah, so let's delve into some questions because we are already 33 minutes in. So we only have 3 more questions to actually cover from the last time.
Okay.
So that's good. So we can actually take a little bit of time to answer those. So Darko Stankovic, he asks, do you think protein requirements vary by higher range by daily basis for... Oh no, this is something that we had last time.
Yeah,
we have only 2 questions left. So Aditya Sawal, I would say that's the name, Sawal. French or so, maybe? What are your thoughts on steroids and bodybuilding? Do you think the stigma other athletes and other sports have towards enhanced bodybuilding is justified? Why is it okay for bodybuilders to take steroids but not other athletes and other sports, implying bodybuilding is a sport? Just want to know your thoughts on all of that. I personally think steroids in the pro bodybuilding ranks is just fine, justified, even if I currently don't think I would ever jump to that side. But trying to justify their use of steroids to my runner girlfriend was quite hard given how strict their drug testing is. Yeah, PS, just call me 80. So yeah, for the next time, 80. I know
80
that
will work for me.
So yeah, Steve, what are your thoughts on that one?
So it's very interesting. I would say I try and take like a very rational view on steroid use within sports. So as far as I'm concerned, if the sport is untested, then you can do as you please, and that's up to your own, like, whatever you want to do, because it's untested. They're like, as far as I'm concerned, you could be taking anything going into that sport and you're eligible to do it. However, if you're going and doing a sport like drug-free bodybuilding, for example, that is tested, you are not going to be using what's on the banned list, and if you are, then shame on you, and you're not a very good person for that, at least in my eyes. It shouldn't be happening. But the thing is, a lot of tested sports, unfortunately, people do end up using things like in the Olympics, like it's been spoken about in a great deal. I think there's even documentaries on it where, unfortunately, people are taking things and that is aiding them in their performance for the Olympics. They get tested, but they have very good ways of manipulating whatever they're taking so it's out of their system and doesn't impact the results there. So it's a very tricky one. I actually, maybe it's because we're in the natural scene, I don't see like bodybuilders in the Olympia getting stigmatized for using drugs. I don't see that very often. I think at least it could be because of the people I follow, the people I see. It's kind of known that's what they do. I think a lot of people are ignorant to the fact that they, like someone like Ronnie Coleman or even like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think a lot of people still view him as being natural, but he's obviously not, and we know that. But yeah, I never agree with giving someone a hard time for no good reason. And as far as I'm concerned, giving people that compete on the Olympia stage a hard time for taking steroids is just illogical. It doesn't make it. I don't see the sense or the basis for that, apart from you maybe have some naturalistic ideology where you think no one should be taking any exogenous like things to help their sport performance, but that is part and parcel with bodybuilding on the Olympia stage. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I kind of answered that question. How are you with that, Pascal?
I could. Once again, this is one of the topics where I could probably ramble on and get lost in the things that I'm saying, right? So I'm going down.
I got lost.
Yeah, I'm going down one road and then I'm in front of like 5 other roads and I'm trying to take all of them and try to get to some kind of point across. But to make it more so shorter, there was 4 weeks ago, the WNBF official Instagram account, they posted something. Yeah. And I just want to read it out loudly to you guys. And then it was Paulie Rocket, our man Paulie, and our man Christopher Barricade, who actually made a comment on those. And I very, very much resonated and agreed with what Paulie had to say and what Christopher had to say, and I just want to read it out loudly to you guys. So first and foremost, I'm reading out loudly what the WNBF has posted, and then the comments the other guys have actually said. So lean back and just listen, right? So the WNBF said, sad to see former WNBF pro athletes turning to the untested organization, watching their face change, watching their musculature change increase quickly, watching their aesthetic physiques ruined by drug use. What is the fascination with competing on drugs? After 31 years, we still don't get it. So Paulie said, some people just have supernatural goals. I'm a fan of both. It's a personal decision regardless of which side of the fence you sit on. It's always funny to see stuff like this. Like, I've rarely ever seen an enhanced guy say anything negative about naturals. But for some reason, I've seen a lot of naturals bombarded the world with their natty card and talk down on users. Everyone has different goals, and in life there are always trade-offs. It's not like getting to single-digit body fat either way is particularly healthy. Arguably, controlled drug use to maintain stable hormone levels while shredded might be healthier. Then Chris said, I love that the WNBF gives natural athletes a fair competitive playing field for those of us that choose to compete natural. The art and sport of bodybuilding is still bodybuilding, whether it's enhanced or natty. I think it would be awesome to see the WNBF be proud of some of their former top athletes who made a personal decision to compete on a different playing field with a different personal goal vision they are trying to realize. I've drawn a lot of inspiration from great athletes and even better human beings, souls of those like Kai Green and Sean Clarida, who started in this field and then continued to compete and excel without natural restrictions. It would be much more productive for us as a bodybuilding community, natural and enhanced, to support and respect another. Side note, I feel bad for those who make premature and uninformed decisions at a young age or are pressured to take XYZ due to terrible coaching guidance or WE without. Probably the case is, I don't know what he said there, as it does have long-term consequences. However, I respect those that choose the other route while understanding the risk and how it may be needed for their specific and more extreme goals. We are not better human beings because we choose to stay natural, and there are not better bodybuilders because they are enhanced. Mutual respect will only make all of us better. And I couldn't have said it better. This sums basically up everything that I'm thinking as well from Paulie and Christopher together. And it's sad to see that some people see themselves as superior only because they choose not to go down the enhanced route. Taking drugs is a personal decision, and it doesn't make you a better human being not to take them or to take them. Right? It is your decision what to do with your life. If you want to take drugs in whatever way it is, these kind of drugs or drugs in general, because you made the decision to do so, be my guest and do so.
Hi guys, Steve here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time to remind you of our online coaching service. At Revive Stronger, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service that will take your physique and knowledge to the next level. If you're interested, check the description and sign up. Yeah, they probably said what I was trying to say in a better way, and I guess I wasn't responding to that post when I was responding to his question, but that post is very simple. I wonder if it almost could have been, did you see this post? What did you think? And I concur completely. There's just and I think in a good way we have an episode coming out on the podcast which you can look forward to with Josh Bridgman and Thomas Moore, who I think a lot of the listeners will know. These are two guys that I enjoy following just because they seem like decent blokes. I've met Tom a couple of times, and they're both actually quite funny as well, and I wanted to have a chat with them because I wanted to talk about the fact that everyone enhanced was once natural, and often naturals are asked, why do you stay natural? And I wanted to ask, why has someone gone enhanced? And these guys had different routes to that, but more so educated routes. And that got to what Chris was saying. And I want, if people do go down that route, to take that educated path and understand what's involved, because there are more things involved. And like I said on there, I was kind of like, it's not like getting a tattoo that you can get removed. Once you've gone on gear, like, things change that are permanent in some ways, or at least have long-term consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just find it unfair to actually then, I don't know, blame those people for being immoral or inferior human beings because they made the decision for themselves, right? As long as it's an intentional and also educated decision, hey, do whatever you want. Like, honestly, especially if you want to take it to the next level, this is probably what is required, right? It's like what Broderick always says. He is into enhanced bodybuilding because he finds natural bodybuilding quite boring. And it kind of is. Like, there is a reason. Yeah, and there is something to it. Let's be honest here. Yeah. There is a reason for why IFBB or the Mr. Olympia attracts so many people across the entire world, and the WNBF doesn't. That doesn't mean that I don't like the WNBF. I'm still natural and I want to compete in the WNBF, but I can see why the other side, I would say, is much more appealing and much more attracting to people. Right? People were always attracted to certain crazy stuff. And over the past years and decades, more extreme things have become the thing, right? People get bored with just like mundane things or things they have seen already. That's why when you take a look at movies as well, right? That, for example, horror movies, they became more bloody, more violent, and this is something that you can see all across the things, right? And the same thing is also why back in the days in the Roman Empire, people were just like entertained by going into the Colosseum and seeing and watching people die in front of their eyes, because it was entertainment for that. And the same goes for something like that. If you have the chance of looking at freaks, just like freaks of nature, right, stepping on stage there and being just like absolutely just like, I don't know, laughing your face off because it's just ridiculous what you're seeing in front of yourself, like a 300-pound shredded guy. And then you put him beside someone who's natural, 180 pounds shredded. You're just like, it's quite more entertaining to see those bigger guys because it's so far away from what we deem normal. And we are attracted and appealed by those kind of things, right? And I find it just like, I find it unfair to talk down to those people when in reality people are so entertained by that. It's the same as other professional sports. If you are under the impression and believe that every other untested sport, such as football, for example, such as the NBA, I don't know how the testing is there, but I think it's very, very much either not present or maybe very rare that they're testing or so. Right? If you think that there's no drug use involved there, sorry, but then you are ignorant to the fact that there will be something going on there, especially in something like the NFL. Guys, wake up. There are millions and billions at play here. And those big companies, they probably don't take any kind of chances.
I know at least for rugby, you can, I think, look online who's currently in like the banned zone for having failed a drug test, because like similar to American football, the guys, they just get fucked. Like steroids a lot of the time for them are like recovery rather than anything else. Obviously they probably use it in other ways, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, it is that like naturalistic fallacy of I have a moral high ground. It's like thinking that a certain diet, because I only eat vegan, I'm superior to you. You eat like pizza and you have cheese, then you're a loser and you're a bad person. It's just there's not morals involved with that. It's just like we're all humans and living our lives, and as long as you're not breaking rules, I don't think it's a bad thing. And like the only time I probably find it difficult is when I see people maybe using like transformations or results that aren't clear that they are enhanced, and they're using that to like sell products, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Where for a natural, it's just unrealistic. But if you're uneducated, you won't realize that's unrealistic. That's the only time it's like, oh, that
I know
stings.
But so I was working exactly in that field. I was a retoucher. I was creating an illusion with the pictures I was creating. Right? I actually made it. So the retoucher, if you want to be a retoucher, you actually need to create an illusion so that if the viewer to the picture actually sees the picture, he doesn't question that. He sees this as the norm. This is especially true in beauty. Everyone knows that a picture is retouched, but no one, when you just like pick up an advert or like a billboard or so, you're not thinking like, oh, she's retouched. No, you're thinking like, oh shit, yeah, that is a lovely lip gloss, whatever, right? Maybe not you specifically, but that's how advertising works. It leads and directs your attention to a certain thing, and you want then to go out or have hopefully a certain emotion towards that product to actually make you to buy that product or purchase that product, right? So it always plays with emotions. So where I'm coming from is when you are bringing that one up and you find it a little bit deceitful that people are then using this to actually then sell a product. Where is then the difference between advertising that everyone does all across the globe, every big company, Apple, whatever it is, Every big company plays exactly with this. Why aren't we judging them as well as we judge those people who sell their bodies over on Instagram?
Yeah, I guess my perspective was more, I don't know, if someone was natural looking at it and they're like, oh, these guys get these results, these guys get these results, these guys are obviously better coaches, and these guys are obviously worse coaches, but it's just the unwritten line is these guys are taking this, these guys aren't, and then they might just get I guess short term they just realize, oh, I'm not getting this because I'm actually not taking this.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally. So I'm absolutely on board with you. I see it the same way, right? But at the same time, I'm just trying to be skeptical about my own beliefs in that instance, because this is exactly what advertising is doing. Advertising is trying to imply that you need a specific product to have a more satisfying life. That if you purchase that product, you will become the happy family on the billboard. You will be more successful now that you own a Mercedes-Benz, whatever it is. It always suggests that you need that product to upgrade your life. This is basically what everyone is doing when he's doing a little bit of advertising, right? And the I'm just, once again, I am totally on board with you when it comes to that. I have the same opinion about it. When someone is using that for their own advantage, and it's simply not true because it's kind of deceitful, but at the same time, we need to kind of also compare it to other advertising that we're seeing on a daily basis. We are bombarded with advertising subconsciously that we don't even notice, right? But it's priming us because we're seeing that subconsciously. We're still taking that one on board. Why? I'm just bringing it up. Why aren't we then being that much in doubt about these kind of people or these kind of bigger companies that are doing the exact same thing, but maybe just on a bigger or in a bigger scheme because they have a bigger budget, and we are blaming the people who are then selling their bodies to actually then selling a product or so. Basically, they are doing the same thing as the bigger companies. And this is like, you can't judge one but still go to the other and purchase their product, even though that they are doing the same thing, because that is called being a hypocrite. Right? If I go out buying a certain product because I was primed in doing so, because I was manipulated in thinking that this enhances my life, then you can't blame the person who then takes steroids, sells then a certain product, because it is kind of the same message, the same package, right? The product actually suggests to you that your life will be better once you purchase that product. Same goes for the person who now sells their product. They are they are creating that illusion with, okay, I'm muscular, that's why you need to take supplement C, and then you will get my body. Same goes for the mobile phone. Once you have this mobile phone, you are now upgraded in your life. People will look at you. You are much more happier. Especially, you are as happy as the person that you are seeing on the billboard now, smiling over their entire face, and probably they are young, they are successful in life, and now you are that person. This is exactly the message that every kind of advertising is trying to sell you.
I think for me, what it comes down to is it's the phrase from you can only sell shit once. So if you do have these like glorious transformations and you're never real with people, you don't discuss behind the scenes what's happened there or whatever it might be, then you're going to get a number of people that purchase this thing. Or like you said, I don't know, I always think of food advertising where they use all these like non-food products to make food look more appealing, like a Big Mac. They use like not even real meat or something in the burger, and they push all everything forward, and then you buy the Big Mac, you're like, holy shit, this is just terrible, and so you never buy it again. So that's why I think that's the good part of it, at least. Like, and you buy on reviews and reputation a lot of the time then.
But that's the perfect example, mate. That's the perfect example, because we are still that generation who probably had a Big Mac in the past, right? We all know, or just like a hamburger from McDonald's. We all know that amazing looking advertising or commercial on TV. It just like looks so delicious, right? And then you go to McDonald's, you unwrap the hamburger, and it's just like such a pitiful and just like sad looking hamburger. And all you just want to do is just like take care of it, like feed it something, put it to bed and take care of it, and just like make it healthy again, because it looks so sick overall, right? And this is exactly the best example. They are playing with an illusion so that you are actually going out to purchase the product because now you want that product. You have the feeling that you are actually enhancing your life with that. And yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because so many people are just like bashing it. I'm still absolutely on board with you. I'm still on the same opinion that I have something against that, but at the same time, we also need to take a look at the other side of the coin, because it's so easy to just be judgmental about it when in reality, nearly everyone is doing it.
No, I think it's really important to play devil's advocate. Way too often people, and I have definitely done this, you can become dogmatic if you don't ever look at the other side of the coin. And it's like, well, so I have this is the way I like to do things, but why would you maybe not want to do this? You actually come to some really good realizations.
Cool. Then let's go to the other question, and that is from
Emma.
Yeah, Emma Wells. I've always wanted this question answered, as I can't seem to find any information online about. Oh God. Steve, do you want to marry me? My question is this. Does the body adapt to walking? As in, once our body become more efficient at it, do we burn less calories than we first started? I know this isn't quite in the bodybuilding realm, but a lot of us do walk for cardio, so thought it would be beneficial. Thanks, guys.
So, yes. And there probably is some research on it. I wouldn't know it off the top of my head, but definitely I think every single biological system works the same way, in that you give it a certain stress, it adapts to it, it gets more efficient at it, it gets better at it. So just like when you, quite often it's a good thing being unfit and doing cardio, because then the body has to work so much harder to get that cardio done, and so you actually end up burning more calories. So it's not a good thing for endurance runners to be very inefficient runners. It's good that they get better at it and they keep pushing themselves and they become more efficient so that they can be more more frugal with their use of calories. So when we're dieting, the body, not only will you get more efficient at walking just from walking, I don't think you're going to get many like efficiencies in how you walk and everything necessarily, but certainly if you've ever done a diet and certainly competed, you'll find that your walking becomes very slow. And you become shuffling. You don't have as good posture. You don't move your arms as much, and your body just gets very good at holding on to as much energy as possible because it's adapting for survival. So yes, this is, I think, yeah, there's some research on like, you can't just keep burning calories. Like the body ends up like capping you at some point where there's just so many efficiencies in place where you just can't keep burning and burning and burning. So this is why sometimes I've definitely heard of coaches where they incrementally like increase a client's cardio after every like couple of weeks, because they're like, I know you're getting more efficient and now you're no longer burning what you thought you were burning before, or like steps. It's not something I've used. I'm also just rely on tracking calories and tracking body weight and then making adjustments. But certainly you will get more efficient at walking. You will end up burning less. But the great thing is, if you do track your body weight and track averages, that is a precursor for your energy deficit. So you can make then the adjustment you want to either your steps or your cardio or your nutrition to make that work for you.
The only thing that I'm throwing now in the ring, I know today I'm a little bit like the controversial side of things here, is walking really that much of a stressor outside of our homeostasis? I
would say increasing you from a one step count to another could be. So if you're like, I don't know, and it would have to be quite a big increase. But if you're walking 5,000 steps and then you go to 10,000 steps, maybe that's something that you maybe would adapt to. And even I actually don't know. I don't know how many adaptations that can take place, but I know that at least the physiological adaptation in terms of you just become lazy at taking steps. You don't have that spring in your step. You shuffle your feet more. And I think that is a slight down regulation in NEAT. And then each step may not be quite as burned quite as much.
I'm just like skeptical of like the metabolic adaptations to that. Like, are you getting more efficient in walking? I think yes, probably in the way you do a specific task. Thus, the more frequently you repeat that task, the better you get at that. At the same time, though, walking is not really that much of a stressor unless, once again, you're just like going from being super sedentary to just like walking the entire day, right? And then the question is like, okay, is then from a metabolic perspective, the change really that drastic that we see a down regulation just to make up for it? I don't think that this is the case. And once again, for those, for example, neurological adaptations, I don't think that the stress is high enough to actually cause this. I only think that the primary thing that we are getting more efficient at that is probably some of the muscle groups are then getting adapted on, especially like joints, connective tissues, especially around the feet and the shins will get adapted. And we all kind of know that then once we are bumping up the steps from, let's say, 10,000 to 20,000 steps, most of the people get shin splints very quickly. And then you can't really walk for the next couple of days without any kind of pain in your shins. But then after a while, you get better at that. So yeah, from a specificity perspective, I think that you're getting better at walking, but I don't think from a truly physiological change, and I primarily speak about neurological changes or metabolic changes, a lot will change there. I know that there are a couple of studies out there having, that especially one that has been conducted on the Hadza, when it comes just like an observational study in comparison to their activity levels and their energy expenditure because they are on their feet. And then it's like you said, you are probably going to down-regulate the rest of your day when it comes to those need levels. But I think that, once again, for someone like us in our Western society, that those adaptations aren't really... We won't notice them as much as we may believe, and I don't really think that the metabolic adaptations are very present there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not something I would ever program and be like, I'm increasing your step count by, I don't know, 50 steps because of the slight down regulation in your metabolic rate potentially, or like efficiency gains within the stepping. Like I said, I don't even do it for cardio. Like I know some people will add like 10 minutes of cardio every week or something, or 100 calories extra because of potentially you're getting more fit. And so you're like needing to increase it. But I just haven't ever, it's not something that I worry about. And I don't think it's to the degree, like you said, that needs to be thought about. Track your steps, track your average body weight, track your calories. You're kind of getting an idea of what's going on, and you can then control some variables to get things to move how you want them.
But a very interesting question. Absolutely. So we're up on time here. As always, guys, thank you very much for all of the questions. This time we covered both of them, but we came to the end of the questions. So we are going to ask some new we are asking for some new questions here next Wednesday over in our Facebook group. So other than that, I think that's about it for this week. Do we have anything to plug, really?
No, the only thing I was going to mention is how upset I am that this weekend I'm not seeing everyone and seeing Pascal in person, seeing Mike and Eric kill each other and debate one another.
And then after that, kiss and go to the hotel room.
This is where their true feelings are shown. Yeah. The rest is a show. But yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that came into my mind. I was just it came in my calendar and I was just like, oh, that's upsetting. I miss that's not happening, especially since it happened since 2015. I've seen Mike every year. So it's kind of sad he's not going to be
maybe
here.
you need to fly over there and then do a workout session in their apartment.
In his gym, yeah.
Right? It's so funny because Charlie is always tagging, or like the location he's tagging over on Instagram is McDonald's, because McDonald's is just right next to them. It's just like, okay, you're working out at McDonald's. All right.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know. Although I'll end up talking too much. I don't even. Is international travel even available? I know in New Zealand they said it's unlikely to be international travel till next year. I don't know. Like, I just read something quickly.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, here in Germany, you can't even go to other states if your main, where you are normally living, right? Your what is it called, buddy?
Residence?
Your main residence is. If your main residence isn't in that state, you're not allowed to actually go there. I think they have lifted it now with the lifting of certain regulations and restrictions. But there was a time where you couldn't actually go into a different state because unless you have your main residency there.
Yeah, we're still, at the moment, you're only allowed essential travel. So they are stopping cars now and then on like motorways to check, like, do you really need to be going to Cornwall and to the beaches, or are you just going there to get away because you're not doing anything? But yeah, that's the only thing. So sorry, guys, we're not seeing one another, but we will see you at some point.
Cool. Guys, talk to you soon.
Laters. So I'm Steve Hall, founder of Revive Stronger and a coach of Revive Stronger.
My name is Pascal. I'm the co-owner of Revive Stronger and also a coach, of course.
Revive Stronger has probably been going solidly for 3 years, roughly about 3 years.
Revive Stronger, to me, it is becoming kind of my child, my foster child. It's the gathering and getting together of like-minded people.
We've been expanding the coaching team, which is helping us help more people, but each coach can only help a certain number of people.
Right now, it's all over the place. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, but there isn't that community aspect behind that.
And so the next step for us is developing a membership site.
So basically, we want to create a family and a community that is then benefiting from another.
A really cool community for people within our little niche is going to be a website.
They will get early access to our podcast.
You can access us, ask us questions.
The community aspect, we have a forum there. You can ask questions, but also you can log your journey.
There's also going to be courses on there.
Courses, presentations on different topics. Discount of past seminar footage. We will log our journey as well. We'll start vlogging.
We're going to have documentaries.
Our entire athletic journey. Furthermore, they get access to an exercise video library.
The exercises that we love for hypertrophy and maximizing hypertrophy, we're going to go through those in depth, telling you how to execute them.
We kept them concise and also mobile friendly so that you can watch them in between your sets.
I'm super excited to grow this community. The amount of value that we're going to be delivering is huge. And I'd love you to be part of it.
You will get so much out of that.
I'll see you inside.